Good morning, everyone. Hope you guys are having a great start to your Tuesday morning and a great week so far. I'm going to give you a morning update on what is going on with this big-time weather maker. Severe weather ongoing right now. Severe weather will continue throughout the day into this afternoon for areas more east into areas like Tennessee, northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, potentially, and even up into Kentucky, maybe even areas of the southern Ohio Valley. So we're going to break that down first, then we're going to talk about the winter weather part of this. And really, we're just going to focus on the GFS this morning. I'm starting to lean more on the GFS as the European model is having a little bit of a hard time really being accurate as far as what the temperatures are right now. It's kind of lagging, and it's colder than what the Euro is trying to say it is model-wise right now. So we're going to take a look at the GFS this morning, and I really think that this system may be colder than what the European is saying. In fact, the National Weather Service is saying so too. So that's what we're going to break down. If you guys have not subscribed, definitely consider doing that. Hit that like button if you liked the video, and I appreciate that. I really do. Hit me up on social media. I'm constantly retweeting the National Weather Service and trying to keep y'all updated as much as humanly possible. Working a full-time job, it's not always easy, but I try to do the best I can. Hit 24K overnight. I had a year goal for 2022 to hit 25K, and looks like I'm going to hit that inside 2 months, 2.5 months. So, that's all you guys, and I'm very blessed to do this, and I really appreciate every single one of y'all. If y'all guys got anything I can pray about, please put in the comments below. As always, gives me an opportunity to pray over them. And it gives others an opportunity to do so too. So let's get rocking and rolling this morning. We got a lot going on. So these are all the watches and warnings. Blizzard warnings in the red right here. Winter storm warnings in the pink for Minnesota, areas of Dakotas, and then Wisconsin. Then you got the winter weather advisories here in this kind of purplish, bluish color. Ice storm warnings up for several counties in Michigan. And then you still got the winter storm watches up in this blue color right into here. I know it doesn't look much different from this color, but this color right here, this more purplish color, that's winter weather advisories, which actually include the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And then in the yellow, you have the tornado watches, which are ongoing right now. And these occasional orange counties, these are actually ongoing severe thunderstorm warnings as of about 20-30 minutes ago. So that might be outdated information. But then you got the flood watches up for for areas of the Mid-South all the way up into the Northeast. And really what's going on right now, see if this will update here. You actually got a tornado warning up here in the far northeast county, northeast area of Arkansas. So severe weather ongoing right now, and you have a line of storms that will continue to move through Arkansas and make their way into areas of Tennessee and Mississippi. Then we can see if any kind of isolated discrete cells develop in this region a little bit later this afternoon. So let's go on and talk about that. Right now you have a slight risk up for these areas in the yellow, and that's because of a tornado risk, a 5% chance of 25 miles in any given location in this brown area. That includes Nashville, Tennessee, the whole entire northern half of Mississippi, and then also the northeast of areas of Arkansas, which I think is more so for this morning rather than this afternoon, and then gets up into the Ohio Valley. I wouldn't even call this the Ohio Valley, the Quad States region. And I think this is more so for this morning as this energy moves through this area. But watch this area a little bit later this afternoon. I do think some storms develop, and there'll be probably some tornado warnings to get issued. But this system is not really uptrended at all, which is good news. So we just have to watch. Keep your eye on the sky if you're in northern Mississippi, northwest portions of Alabama and Tennessee today, even up into Kentucky for severe weather. There's a chance for damaging winds also. Another thing that I didn't mention in last night's video is the risk for flash flooding. That is today. You got a moderate risk. A moderate risk in the flash flood category is at least 40% chance of flash flood guidance occurring of 25 miles in any given location in these red areas. So it's a big deal. Flash flood guidance just depends on how much rain makes flash flooding occur in your specific area, and that all depends on how much rain you've had lately. So if you're in drought conditions, sometimes that favors more flash flooding because the soil is so dry it cannot bring in as much moisture as quick as if you have slightly more damp moisture or wet moisture already. But watch out for these areas. Flash flooding, and we'll talk a little bit about how much rain in these right at the tail end of this video. HRRR model for what's going on. I always like looking at tropical tidbits, but it's down right now. But as we're getting into later this morning, into this afternoon, so this is around 3 to 5 p.m., give or take, some storms will fire up in areas of Alabama and Mississippi. These storms do have a chance to spin. How congealed will they be is a big question, meaning how put together will they be? Will they just be a cluster of some heavy rain and storms? Obviously, if that occurs, then it goes away from the idea of discrete cells that take more advantage of their environment. So you would probably just have a damaging wind threat and maybe an isolated tornado embedded in the convection. But this could be what the radar looks like a little bit later this afternoon. Anywhere from 2 to 7 p.m. You could have some nasty storms moving through northern Mississippi, northern Alabama. We go on and switch this up to Kentucky and Tennessee. This is getting into this afternoon around the 3 to 5 p.m. range. And I really think in western Kentucky, you'll be kind of done with a severe weather threat by probably early this afternoon, maybe earlier. But then we watch some nasty cells develop around Nashville. And anything that can get discrete, like this little storm right here showing up around, 4 to 5, 6 p.m. this afternoon, give or take. I never give it exact hours, guys, because, this is just a model run. It's hard to predict exactly where a storm's going to form. But check out this little cell just southeast of Nashville. You watch out for little cells that can kind of get on their own, get discrete, get just their own little environment and take advantage of that. You really watch out for things like that. And what environment factors are there, like the thermodynamics as far as temperatures, dew points, kinematics, the wind energy, the low-level jet, which will be at around 70 to 80 knots in this region. So there's going to be some wind energy to work with here for sure. So let's go on and talk about the winter weather side of this. So I'm going to look at the GFS. Like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I think that the European is doing a little bit of a poor job showing the progression of the cold air. I think the cold air is already ahead of what the European's saying it should be. So I'm going to look at the GFS. I'm not saying the GFS totals are going to be correct. In fact, we're in range now. We're in the south central U.S. and the Ohio Valley. We can actually show you what the National Weather Service is showing, and then we'll do the blend of all models as far as how much accumulation is showing ice and snow-wise for the Northeast. So here we go. Starting tomorrow afternoon, there's going to be a wave of moisture develops. There's plenty enough cold air for this to fall sleet and ice for northern Arkansas, sleet in Oklahoma, especially eastern Oklahoma. These areas right here, you have winter storm watches, and this is the reason why. This gets into later Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday evening. This starts to turn to an all-out ice storm in northern sections of Arkansas, like the Ozarks. I think the Quad States region is a big question. Basically what I'm saying, southeast Missouri, northeast Arkansas, maybe a few counties into western Tennessee, western Kentucky, and then southern Illinois. I think it's a big question here, whether it's all rain, a little bit of rain, and a little bit of ice, or mostly ice. Still kind of a big question here. But this moves through. We're getting into the overnight hours into Wednesday into Thursday, and then ice is continuing for this region right here, and then you get into Thursday morning, and another area of moisture develops. And, a lot of the short range models are showing ice all the way down into here. And I'm about to show you that here in a second, actually. And let me make sure I have that tab pulled up. And I don't think I do, but I will pull it up for you guys. But there's ice showing up all the way deeper into Texas, maybe all the way into near like Austin, Texas, for example. And then the ice shows into Dallas, Fort Worth. But this is just the GFS Thursday morning. And, widespread light to moderate ice and sleet, freezing rain and sleet falling in Oklahoma. This continues to move through, and then it really turns into a substantial winter storm for most of Missouri, especially central to southern Missouri, of sleet, freezing rain, snow, just a wintry mix of everything in places like St. Louis. And this moves on out. You get into Thursday evening, and then we're done with this. When you look at for example, look at something like the NAM. Look at this. This is the NAM for about 60 hours out. Remember, we can only go 60 hours out on the 3 km NAM. So this is what it looks like for Wednesday around midday. Kind of different. You have freezing temperatures much further south. You have freezing rain showing up well east and well south of Dallas. This continues, and then look at this. This is the NAM. Look at all the ice showing up on the NAM for late Wednesday evening into Wednesday night into overnight Thursday morning. You have freezing rain all the way down to San Antonio, Austin, Texas, into Dallas, Fort Worth. So the NAM is totally different. And the NAM shows an all-out. Now the NAM could be way too cold, but the NAM shows a pretty impactful event for areas much further south. deeper into Arkansas, deeper into Texas. So it's something you have to watch and pay attention to, because this isn't like a super long-range NAM. I mean, we're starting to get into the what we call the mid-range NAM or the short-range NAM, short-range version of these short-range models. Little tongue twister there. So you got to pay attention to the NAM. You really do. And we'll soon enough get into the short-range models here into these other regions too. But this is what the National Weather Service is saying as far as snowfall totals through Friday morning. Shows a couple inches into St. Louis, the entire central and northern half of Illinois. A few inches of snow possible, and then maybe a little accumulating snow for areas of northwest Arkansas, eastern Oklahoma. But you look at the freezing rain totals, and this is what we really and truly worry about here. You now have predicted freezing rain totals, a solid glaze into Texas, maybe 1/10 of an inch of ice. And this is why I'm telling you, we can't really look at these global models that much. And in fact, in tonight's video, I'm going to switch over and really start talking more about the short range models, because I think the global models are having some trouble kind of grasping what is going to happen here. And the National Weather Service is leaning a little bit more towards the GFS, just based off what their predicted totals may be, and the short range models. And the NAM showing ice all the way down in these regions, as in the GFS is keeping the ice mainly up here. So this would show a solid 1/10 of an inch down into Dallas-Fort Worth, over a 1/4 inch, maybe ice storm criteria ice into southeast Oklahoma, northern Arkansas, an all-out ice storm with maybe a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch of ice expected, even southern Missouri. So there's going to be a big-time ice storm here. So it's something we have to pay attention to. Let's go on and switch to the GFS for this region. Ongoing winter storm today in these regions up here. Ice storm ongoing in central to north-central Michigan, where y'all have ice storm warnings. It's going to be some nasty ice up there today. That moves on out, and here comes our next system. We're getting into Thursday morning. We'll stop it here. Here it comes. An area of moisture starts to develop in the southern areas of the Ohio Valley, southern Indiana, southern Ohio. This may fall in the form of sleet and snow. Then we get later into the day, Thursday, and here comes the meat of the system right here. Freezing rain breaking out over southern Illinois, southern Indiana, sleet a little further north, and then you got a heavier band of snow right into here, into northern Indiana and north central Illinois. How close does this get to Chicago? We're not quite sure, but it's just south of Chicago. Then we get into Thursday evening, and this is a heavy band of snow in northern Indiana and northern Ohio. It's very interesting. There's almost been overall some ticks south in model guidance, and the Euro is actually starting, especially when we get a little bit further in these long range and into these short range models, the Euro is slowly starting to kind of be on an island with this. But the Euro might be right all along. I'm kind of going with my gut feeling with this, which I feel like I shouldn't just come on here and show you model runs and then tell you what the model runs are showing. I should give my opinion also. And I think that this is going to be a little bit of a colder storm. Maybe not as cold as what the GFS is showing, but maybe leaning more towards the GFS. We'll see. Might be totally wrong. But this would be nasty ice. And this is for Thursday evening for these southern areas of the Ohio Valley. This continues to move through. And ongoing ice and basically just a nasty day as far as winter weather is concerned for your Thursday in general. Just depends on where you are. If y'all got any questions about your specific location, make sure you put your city, guys. A lot of times folks will put comments down there and they'll say, what about Ohio? What about Illinois? What about Missouri? That's a pretty large state, guys. And with a system like this, it all depends on your location geographically in your state. So remember that. As far as snowfall totals, this only goes out to Friday morning, so I think it's still snowing in this region here. So you got little weird blimps into here too. And that's one reason I don't like looking at the National Weather Service, just because they don't all necessarily agree with one another. But in the general idea, shows accumulating snow in this region right here. You look at freezing rain, and this only goes out to Friday morning. I think it's still going on right in here, but the National Weather Service doesn't really like the idea of a significant icing event in southern areas of the Ohio Valley, but does show a glaze. We'll have to see if this uptrends in time. I think it might. I really do. But let's go on and switch to the Northeast, and let's go on and get through this. Most of the Northeast, except obviously more favored areas of the interior northern areas of the Northeast, will experience all rain into this morning, into this afternoon and evening, into overnight. Then we get into Wednesday. It's a relatively dry day, maybe some snow showers flying around. Then we get into Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening. This has trended a little bit slower. So this, we'll stop it right here. This is for 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, Friday morning. Here comes our big time winter storm moving in. You got snow moving into Boston. You got snow and sleet moving into New York City, sleet, freezing rain into Philadelphia. Probably rain and freezing rain mixed in areas like Boston. All rain looking like for Washington, D.C., but you have some freezing rain showing up in Maryland. And in fact, you back it up, and it starts as all freezing rain for a large chunk of central and northern half of Maryland, even northern Virginia, all freezing rain in Washington, D.C. And then as the low pressure tracks more north or northeast, it brings more warm air advection in, and then you switch to all rain. But I think there's going to be a big frontogenesis band right here, meaning there's going to be a big thumping of snow at the beginning of this event. I really do. I think this is going to be one of those events where it just starts pouring snow within an hour of precipitation starting. And I think as you're getting into late morning, just a little bit further in the morning, Friday morning, some heavy, heavy snow can move into Boston. I really think this is trending into a big winter storm for Boston. I'm not talking about 2 feet of snow, maybe like the storm that happened a few weeks back, but I think this could be a substantial winter storm for areas of the Northeast. Even in New York City, you're going to see a mix of everything. But we have to see if it's the warmer guidance is better to look at for these areas or not. But big ice storm potential for Pennsylvania. You back this up a little bit. If you're looking at the GFS, this starts off as a wintry mess for areas like Pittsburgh, but then quickly goes to rain. And I think that's the case is because you see how this area is closed right here. These isobars, that is your low pressure. Low pressure moves right over Pittsburgh and southwest Pennsylvania. So you got a lot of warm air that gets mixed down. And then there'll be some kind of transition, a transfer of this low pressure to the coast. And I think that actually does happen right into here. And you might have dual low pressures develop, and then one kind of dominates the other. And I think that's why you lose the low pressure signature here. Cold air dominates. This becomes a major event for the interior Northeast. And then low pressure begins to develop off the coast of southern New England. Therefore, you stay all snow for Boston all the way through Friday into Friday night, and then it wraps up for everybody. So we can look at the National Weather Service for this region. And then, this only goes out to Friday morning. So the bulk of this storm has not even moved in. So, you already have in the Friday morning several inches of snow in areas of Pennsylvania and New York City. I mean, in New York State. And I'm getting all crazy here. And then we look at the ice all the way through Friday morning. And there's already a glaze showing up in Pennsylvania. But if you look at the blend of all models for this, and this goes all the way out through Saturday afternoon, large winter storm into the interior New England area, including Boston, maybe a few inches into New York City. You look at ice as far as how much ice can fall, and then there's some ice showing up for these areas, but not a lot yet. We'll see how this trends in time. And then there's going to be a lot of rain, guys. A lot. And this is only through Friday morning. It's still raining in some of these areas. I'm talking about 3 to 4 to 5 inches of rain in areas of Kentucky, Tennessee, northern areas of Alabama and Mississippi. And this is only through Friday morning. So all this is going to fall over the next few days. So flash flooding is going to occur in these areas in certain counties. So be aware of that, especially if you're in higher elevations. But if we look at that storm that we've been talking about last night for late weekend into Monday, the Euro doesn't really show anything crazy anymore. It shows a system, but it doesn't have enough cold air into it to really, it looks like a cold rain from North Carolina and then some mountain snow. So, the models are still going to bounce back and forth with this system, guys. So we're not going to really know what the heck's going to go on with this for some time. But, you look at what the GFS is showing, and it shows kind of the same kind of situation, except it's about a day earlier, which I feel like you shouldn't want because the cold air hasn't moved in place. But kind of shows the same scenario, just one day earlier. Some cold rain into this area and interior snow, maybe a little snow showing up from Tennessee. That's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. I'll have you an update tonight. Y'all have a blessed day and stay safe.